Good evening. I've wanted to make this video for a really long time, but I was waiting to purchase a better camera in order to do so. So, I live in a 350-year-old timber-framed listed building. It's also a former pub. I'll stick a picture of that up here, obviously blocking the name out because the address still uses the historic name of the pub. There's a couple of very interesting things in this building that I've wanted to film and document for a while. I have different ideas about how they came to be the way they are. Any building of this age will have little quirks and oddities that, if you have an interest in social history, as I do, you're drawn to these little things. We're going to make a start in the lower floor of the house, and I'm going to take you through a couple of little quirks and oddities of my 350-year-old home. The first thing I wanted to show you is this wall. The part you didn't see is where I swept out of dust from here, because I've actually had to move a piece of furniture in order to make this section of wall a little bit clearer. So I'm not sure how well this comes across on camera, but can you see the way the wall kind of sags out from its timber framing? I suppose this is just evidence of the age of the building and how over time the foundations shift. So this has obviously been replastered at some point. You have to compensate for how the foundation of the building has shifted, and so you end up with this just kind of cool like bowing out of the wall. Now some people would see this and get very anxious. I think, oh god, my house is about to fall down. But there are two types of people, and I'm the kind of crazy person who's like, ooh, that looks cool. It looks like something from the medieval era, and I really romanticize that time period. So being that this is a fairly late timber framed house, in terms of it being built in the late 1600s, it wasn't long before other more robust and less rustic building methods came in. Although I say more robust, I mean this building's been standing for 350 years, so it must be built pretty well. Because it's one of the newer timber framed houses, I'm not actually sure what is between the woodwork, whether it is Watland daub or whether it is, as I suspect, more likely brick in between the timber. And there may also be some kind of timber skeletal structure inside too. But regardless, I just love how this looks. And I think it kind of reminds you of the craftsmanship of the people who constructed this house within a modern building, which is so uniformly constructed down to the finest millimetre. You kind of lose the individuality of each person who had a hand in constructing the dwelling. Whereas here you can just imagine the labourers toiling away day by day to make this building. Now, this is something that I would say has become broadly associated with older houses. Just look at the angle at the top of this door frame. I'm not sure how well, again, it comes across on camera. Maybe it's a bit clearer if I open the door, look at the top of the door as well. But the top of this door frame is like such a severe wonky angle. It looks like something from an old German expressionist film. And again, similar to the wall, I assume this is the result of the foundations, the whole timber frame itself shifting over time with just, gradual ground movement and it sinking into the earth. And I'm guessing that as the foundations shifted, a new door frame had to be built to compensate this change and kind of level everything out. But of course, you just can't get away from the evidence of that with these sharp angles. It's just got such charm. I just absolutely adore it. Yeah, adore. Adore it. Oh dear. This is a little space that my partner and I have dubbed the Nook, because there's really no better way of describing it. It's this kind of little shelf, cupboard without a door. And before we even go into that, I just want to show you here. Here's the top of one door. Here's the top of another. And here's that wonky door. And they're all three completely different heights. I have studied this for quite a while, and I'm always thinking about what its origin was. I think that these boards here are covering something hollow underneath. And my best guess at the moment is that this at one time was a staircase that led diagonally down to where the bar room would have been in the pub, and led just straight upstairs, and presumably where I now inhabit would have been the landlord's private dwelling place. But obviously since this has been divided up into separate dwellings and businesses, so passageways between these spaces had to be blocked off. So I think what we're looking at here is the top of the stairwell, which has been just leveled off with planks and turned into this kind of improvised cupboard space. And again, I just love it. It's just so characterful. When I first moved in here, I wanted to put like little cushions in here, and I don't know, maybe a little curtain, and make it like a little private reading spot. Although I would have got terrible back and leg pain from trying to shove myself in there because I am 6'1", so that wouldn't really have worked. This is another section I absolutely love. This is what I assume to be an exposed doorway. I assume once there would have been a wall where now there's that empty space there. And these lovely beams have just been left untouched, although the filling in between them has been taken away. This has now been opened out to allow this kind of cross between a ladder and staircase up to the second floor there. But I assume that there wouldn't have been a permanent access up to the attic, probably because it hadn't been renovated upstairs and was just the bare rafters and a bit of insulation, etc. What you're kind of looking at here is an entrance to a room that once existed. Perhaps it was quite a small room, because if you come through here, you can see again the outline of a now blocked up doorway. And again, I assume this has been done because it would have been a passageway that led into the other half of the dwelling, which is now another person's property. And here's something else that interests me a lot more than it should. Around the back of this staircase, you have this little, again, I don't know what else to call it, a nook, a cranny. I have a feeling that this whole kind of rounded section here of wall was once the very large base of presumably an inglenook fireplace. If you come around the corner here, you can see this massive kind of flat section of wall. So yeah, I believe the whole of this was a massive inglenook fireplace. And potentially this little nook in the corner is where the fireplace opened out onto the other side of this wall, which is blocked up. I'm not sure if that made any sense, or whether the geography of this is coming across on the camera, but I am trying my best here. With such a small and, well, I don't know how else to put it, a local piece of social history, there's no other real way to verify this other than my own eye. So I'm now upstairs in the attic of the house, and here's the final thing I wanted to show you. So this is the little desk where I make and edit my videos, and as you can see, this desk clearly has been made quite recently. It has been fashioned around and secured into this beam, which is one of the quite integral structural beams of the roof of this house. And I just find that really cool that when I'm sat here editing my videos, that I'm doing so literally running my mouse across this beam, which was placed here 350 years ago, probably from a felled tree that was several hundred years older than that. And here it is supporting me as I make my strange, historical, spooky videos. I couldn't think of a more fitting way to do so, to be honest. And right behind this little desk, you can see bricks here. And this is the chimney breast. So we are actually directly above that little nook I showed you a moment ago, which is why I theorized that that whole kind of big block of wall was possibly an inglenook fireplace. I don't know if I'm overusing the word inglenook. Perhaps there's other names for wide open fireplaces. That is probably 5 or 6 interesting little architectural quirks in my 350-year-old home. As I said before, I know absolutely nothing about architecture. Everything that I've observed and noted in this video is based upon my limited knowledge of social history from the time period, just my own study through interest and an awful lot of guesswork, just sitting, watching the telly late at night and looking at strange corners of the room and being like, how the hell did that end up like that? Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a like, and please do subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.